Yo, what's going on? You're checking out Qgen HQ. My name is Chris and welcome back to a brand new video. Real quick before we dive in, please excuse the background behind me. I am in a temporary studio location right now. It is taking a lot longer than expected for the new studio to kind of just come into existence, so please bear with me, but we'll get there. That being said, let's go ahead and jump right into this. Today we're checking out a brand new webcam from Razer. This is the Kiyo Pro, the predecessor to the original Kiyo. And I'm really eager to check this camera out because it's jam-packed with a ton of really awesome features that I just love to see in a camera in general. And for a webcam, it just kind of blows me away. So we're checking out a camera that has 60 frames per second, has an HDR mode built in, which I really want to tweak with and really see how they did that. And then they also have multiple viewing angles, one of them being a wide viewing angle, which I absolutely just love in general. I feel like that's why a lot of people, go for mirrorless cameras, especially when they're streaming. That wide angle is more of an immersive just feel and a look, and it really does boost the quality of your stream. So I'm really excited to see how well that wide angle is on this webcam. Now, that being said, those features seem pretty premium, so we're gonna deal with a premium price point here at $200 for a webcam. Now, there are other webcams that actually are more expensive, so $200 isn't that crazy if you think about it, but I mean, I never thought we'd see webcams up at this price, but here we are. I mean, you got mirrorless cameras that you can probably get all said and done for around $450 to get a whole setup, maybe a little bit more into the $500 range, depending on what you want to spend, but it does take a little bit more effort and more time to set that up, where this webcam, 200 bucks out the box, you plug it in and you're gonna have some pretty quality content. So that being said, let's go break it down and I'll compare this with some other popular webcams and cameras. And you guys can make your decision to see if this Razer Kiyo Pro is fit for you and your stream. So first things first, once you open the box, you're greeted with some paperwork here from Razer themselves to kind of explain to you everything about the camera and what you've just purchased. And then we have some more basic paperwork, which probably covers your warranty, but we'll just never look at that. And then we have the camera itself. And I can tell you right now, it's already ditched the ring light from the original Kiyo. And this is a beefier looking camera for sure. It's not too heavy though in my hands. It is a little loose though out of the box. We'll have to play with that mount here in a moment, but it's pretty sleek, nice, clean looking camera. Definitely looks like it is going to be packing quite a punch here, but let's go ahead and see what's under this foam. We are greeted with a USB-C detachable 3.0 cable braided here for power, which I do like. And then we also have a camera lid here for some privacy when not in use, or just to keep the camera lens clean. I do like that they added that. Another quick note here, please excuse the mess behind my PC, but this USB cable here, it's pretty short. It's like less than 6 feet, maybe just about 6 feet. I didn't measure it, but it's definitely a shorter cable than I've seen included with other Razer products. No big deal, but if you're into cable management and things like that, this might cause a bit of an issue. You might have to buy yourself a little extender here. Hopefully that doesn't downplay the quality. It shouldn't, but all right, let's go ahead and move on with the video. So like I said before, the camera was a little loose, but as you guys can see on the bottom, you do have a little screw here to tighten it to the original clamp that it comes with. Now this is really cool because I haven't seen a webcam do this, I think, ever. You could actually detach the entire webcam from the base that it comes with, which is really cool. So you can take this thing and mount it to anything. You can mount it to a nice little, tripod here. I have a small little Manfrotto one I can throw it on. You can see here, very easy to do so. You could even use the intended clamp here. It has a screw in the bottom as well. So you can really put this camera anywhere you want. It's super versatile, which I really do like. They really kind of thought of everything here. Taking a look at the actual camera itself though, like I said, it's very nice looking, but the camera itself doesn't move. There's no moving parts on the camera, where it looks like you have a manual control here for the lens, but that just is not true. It just kind of has that aesthetic to it, but it does not move at all. It is just one lens here with a detachable base, but I still think it looks really cool. So let's go ahead and install this just on the top of the PC here using the intended clamp. I'm not going to use it on a tripod for the sake of the video. And let's go ahead and then we'll move on to the software. Okay, so now you've plugged the camera in. And the very first thing you're gonna do is go over to Razer's website and download their latest version of Razer Synapse if you don't already have it. The Kiyo will appear there. You can go ahead and click on it and you will be greeted with this exact screen, a preview of what the camera is picking up right out of the box. this is all of the stock settings. You can see how easy they've made it here in Razer Synapse. All the click of a button, HDR could be on, HDR could turn off. Now, when HDR is off, you're getting a full 60 frames per second. When you put HDR back on, the max is 30 frames per second. But it looks pretty good in the preview so far. Now, I like how they made this really super simple. You don't have to know much about cameras to basically get yourself a really nice picture quality. All you have to really play around with is brightness, contrast, and saturation, depending on how much lighting you have, depending on what your studio space is like, your stream room, whatever you're doing. Take the time here and definitely tweak some of these settings. But at 128 right out of the box, all default settings, I think this looks pretty good with the HDR on. It even looks pretty good with HDR off, honestly, at full 60 frames. A little washed out in the preview mode, but we'll check all this out in a moment. But I do really like how they also give you a couple quick little modes on here. You have the cool, vibrant, as well as warm. So if you like any of those, you go ahead and throw those on. Obviously, you can go to custom, and also you have advanced settings. So if you're a little bit more knowledgeable about cameras, or if you are familiar with OBS as well, the broadcast software, this is the same exact screen you'll get up when you go to camera properties. You can really dive in to more advanced settings here and tweak every single thing to get that perfect picture that you want to get from this Razer Kiyo. Now, like I said, I think this is pretty nice and easy looking, but let's go ahead and start some comparisons here. So for the sake of the video in the beginning, what I'm going to do is reset everything back to bone stock, and we'll check out some of the angles first, and we'll just go on to some more comparisons. Okay, so let's do some comparisons here with the camera angles. Now, I'm going to leave everything here bone stock right out of the gate on Razer Synapse. I only have the one light on behind me and this little kind of studio light facing off to the right here. And the brightness, contrast, saturation, all is 128, autofocus on, and the auto on the white balance here. So let's start with the angles. Like I said, at 60 frames, this is the narrow angle, and this is the weakest angle, I think. It's very, very tight and compressed, and you probably wouldn't stream with this. This is probably for when you're, I don't know, doing a Zoom call with your boss or something like that, that you don't want them to see what's going on in the background. But let's go ahead and boost it up to their medium viewing angle. Okay, so this is the medium viewing angle, and you can see already in the background a little bit more of my PC, a little bit more of that makeshift bed. This angle's not so bad, but there is one more. Let's go ahead and boost up to the widest viewing angle. So this is the widest angle that is offered on the Razer Kiyo Pro. And I feel like this is the angle that everyone out there would most likely use. At least I know I would. You get a lot more going on in the background. You can see a lot more of the PC, the camera. But obviously if you're a streamer, you got a nice background going on, you're gonna wanna show that off. So people will probably most likely use the wide viewing angle on this camera. I feel like that is one of the major selling points. But they do have a mode called HDR on here, and I'm gonna go ahead and keep the same wide angle, and we're gonna just switch over to HDR. So this is the HDR mode enabled. It caps at 30 frames, but take a look at the fans in my PC. You can actually see them spinning. You can see the actual vibrant light coming from it. It looks more natural. The RAM color here, as well as, everything going on, the black in my shirt, everything looks more, I guess you could say, vibrant, but more realistic. Even my skin tone. Before at 60 frames, you might have saw some shine coming from the light over here, but it kind of just cleans everything up really nicely. It makes things a little bit darker. It's not too cold and not too warm. I feel like this is pretty good looking. And I keep in mind, like I said, nothing has been tweaked out of the box here. Everything is straight down at the default settings. So if you're a streamer, I do feel this is the money shot for you. I feel like if you have some nice RGB lighting in the background, some cool stuff for your viewers to check out, it would look really immersive and really cool at this wide viewing angle with the HDR mode enabled. So let's take this another step further. I'm going to compare this camera to the Logitech Brio 4K webcam. The reason why I chose that webcam is because I really scoured the market to find something that's really on point to the same price that Razer's asking for the Kiyo Pro, which is a $200 price point. So both of these webcams, if you were to pick one of them up, would cost you $200, which is pretty steep when it comes to the webcam game, if you ask me. I mean, you could spend a couple $100 more and boost up to a DSLR mirrorless or something like that. But for the sake of this video, the ease and access of using a webcam is plug and play. You're good to go. $200 will get you the Razer Kiyo Pro, or it can get you the Logitech Brio 4K. Let's go ahead and compare these two, and then you guys can decide, which picture quality you might like a little bit better. Okay, so this is the Logitech Brio. Now it's downscaled to 60 frames per second at 1080p. And this is the widest angle offered. Take a look around. You see a lot more of the room going on, a lot more of the PC. It does look a little washed out though, and I do know with the Logitech you do need a lot more lighting going on and a little bit more tweaking of the white balance. But for the sake of this, like I said, I'm not touching any of the settings except for the resolution here. So we have 60 frames at 1080p on the Logitech, and keep an eye on that background. Take a look at the colors here. Now I'm going to swap over to the Kiyo, the same thing, 1080p, 60 frames per second. Here is the Razer Kiyo Pro. The colors already look a lot cleaner, but the angle's a little bit smaller. Like this is their widest angle, and it's not as wide as the Logitech is. It's just kind of more zoomed in. So I don't really think it's a natural wide angle that we're really getting on the Kiyo, but it's still pretty wide. But I really wish they kind of compared this, took this color and threw it on an angle that looks just like that. I feel like you're getting so much more here with the Logitech for the wide angle. But the 60 frames 1080p looks a little bit better, in my opinion, on the Razer Kiyo Pro. But what we're going to do next is one more comparison between these two. I'm going to downscale the 4K on the Logitech Pro to 30 frames per second at 1080, and I'm going to, throw on the Kiyo at HDR 30 frames per second. And those are like kind of their flagship. So 4K downscale should still look a lot better. So let's go ahead and put these two head to head at, using their flagship features here. Okay, so here is the Logitech, and I downscaled the 4K resolution to 1080p 30 frames per second. And take a look. I mean, it does look a little bit better than it did at 60 frames. The colors look a little bit more natural. It's not as cold. It's still a little washed out though, but you can see the fans a little bit better here than you did on the Razer at 60 frames, in my opinion. But overall, it's still just a little too washed out. Let's go ahead and hop over to the Kiyo Pro at HDR 30 frames per second. And here you are. I think this still takes the cake. I mean, it looks really, really good. The colors are just there, very, very immersive. Not as wide as I'd like it to be on the Logitech. I mean, the Logitech has that wide angle down pat, but this is the HDR mode enabled, and that's the flagship, I think, on the Razer. Now, the autofocus is a little wonky on the Razer, but turn that off. Other than that, I think it's really good. The HDR, really, they nailed it. I mean, Razer really makes it easy for you. If you're a streamer, you don't know too much about cameras, maybe you just plug it in, leave it on default settings, and you'll probably get the same exact picture quality. Obviously, everyone's stream setup is a little bit different, but it's gonna look pretty good. It's pretty easy to do so. Now, I got one more final boss battle for you guys. I'm gonna throw my Sony a5100 into the mix. Okay, so for the very final comparison, I have all three cameras running here. You have A, B, and C right now on the screen in front of you. I want you guys to take a quick moment, and maybe you guys can match each camera up to their corresponding letter and see if you got it right, to see if you notice any major difference. Now, I think when it comes to the Sony mirrorless, that'll be the easiest one of the three. But we'll go ahead. I'm going to give you guys 5 quick seconds. I'm going to move around this knife here. I only have the ring light on behind, another side light to kind of even everything out. And I'm running all three of these cameras at 60 frames per second at 1920 by 1080. So real quick, 5 seconds. In my mind, 5 seconds, that's enough time. Okay, did you guess it? The Sony a5100 is slide B right here in the center. That, in my opinion, obviously, this is the best one. I mean, it just looks the crispest, the cleanest, and it is a DSLR mirrorless camera. So let's move on to the harder decision, I guess. It might not be that difficult for you guys out there, but another quick couple seconds here, and let's see if you guys guessed it. Yes, that is it. Did you guys get it right? Let me know below in the comments. A is the Kiyo, and all the way over here, C is the Logitech. Did you guys notice a huge difference right now? I mean, let me know down below in the comments. Is this camera worth it for you guys? It is a $200 webcam, which is pretty steep when it comes to just a webcam in general, I think. But it is a lot easier to kind of navigate through. It's a quick little plug and play, where something like a mirrorless camera requires a little bit more money and obviously a little bit more steps you have to take. But if you're in the webcam game, this Kiyo, I think, is pretty on point. I would probably just skip the 60 frames per second and kind of just have this thing rock out in the HDR mode at 30 frames. I think it looks really, really nice. It has a really nice color just stock out of the box. And at the same time, you don't really get too much glare, and it's just really clean. I really do like it. But you guys, let me know down below in the comments what you guys think of the Kiyo, and let me know if you picked one up. If you want to pick any of these up, everything I will link that I've used here down below in the description, like I always do. If you guys are new here, please consider subscribing, maybe sharing the video with a friend. Give the video a huge thumbs up if this helped you out in any way. holler at me down below in the comments or join the Discord, or I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. I've made the promise to myself, making the promise to you. I'm going to start streaming Saturday nights, 100%. Saturday nights, I will be live by 8 p.m. Eastern, and I'll be testing out all new products I pick up during the week before I go into full breakdown reviews. And maybe you guys can hit me with some Q&A or just hang out and we'll play some games. We'll figure it out. But twitch.tv/QGenHQ, Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. This is three peace outs right now. Peace out.